Welcome back. We will continue our discussion on chapter 2. If you remember, we were discussing the Sthita Prajna Lakshana, the last 18 verses of the Bhagavad Gita, which essentially talk about the characteristics of a man of realization. The correct terminology is Sthita Prajna. Sthita Prajna is a person whose knowledge, Jna means knowledge, Prajna means is a special knowledge, because the knowledge here is considered as a special knowledge because it is the knowledge about ourselves. His knowledge about himself is stable and firm and clear. So a person who is established in that knowledge, it's not that he is theoretically knows about that. No, he knows and he lives in it. So that is what is Tita Prajna. His characteristics was discussed, means we were discussing his characteristics, because this whole discussion triggered from a questions by Arjuna. So Arjuna asked this question and Krishna answered. So the question was Tita Prajnasya ka bhasha samathistasya keshava sthita tihim prabhashena kimasita vrajeta kim. What is the characteristics of Sthita Prajna? And last week, what we did was we did 63 and 64 verses of the second chapter, which is considered as one of the most important verse of the Bhagavad Gita, because essentially it talks about a slippery slope. A slippery slope of anybody, means in which anybody can fall down. A ladder of downfall. That is what we discussed. So a slippery slope in which anybody can fall down. So we saw that 8 steps were highlighted in that slippery slope. So the verses where we saw that Thyayato Vishayan Pumsa Sangastveshopajayate Sangat Sanjayate Kamaha Kamat Krodopijayate Krodhat Bhavati Sammohaha Sammohat Smriti Vipramaha Smriti Pramshat Buddhinashaha Buddhinashat Pranashyati. So the whole thing starts, right? The whole thing start with a contemplation or just thinking about sense organs, sense objects. So just naturally engaging with the sense objects, what happened? An attachment will be developed. Sangastvesho upajayate. Then what happened? From that attachment, an obsession will come. So initial engagement with the thinking about the sense objects. From the sense objects, what is going to happen? A binding desire will come. From that binding desire, an obsession is going to come. And sangat sanjayate kamaha. And any potential obstructing between, or any potential obstruction between us and that object, it is going to generate kopa, rage. And then from this rage, what is going to happen? Sammohaha. Sammohaha meaning it is going to be delusion, because I don't know what is right, what is wrong, etc. And from delusion, what is going to happen? Smriti means smriti pramsha. So smriti pramsha means loss of memory is the literary translation, but more than loss of memory, you don't know what to do. Your knowledge and wisdom won't come and help you. So means you say something which you should not be saying, etc. And smriti pramshat buddhinasha. So buddhinasha, your lack of intelligence, loss of intelligence will happen, because then you don't know what is right, what is wrong, what to do, what not to do, what to say, what not to say. Means all these things will come, and from buddhinashat pranashyati. So that person is gone. You can write him off. So this is the ladder of downfall we have seen. So this is such an important verses to these 2 verses, 63 and 64, 62 and 63 are such an important verses. It talks about, or it warns about a slippery slope. So now the question is, if there is a slippery slope in front of any practitioner, you might be a sincere practitioner, but you can fall down. We have a lot of examples like that in our scriptures, like in Puranas and all. You see a lot of example like that. So what is the solution? You cannot just give a problem and go away. So how a Sthita Prajna handles this? That is what is being discussed in the next few verses. So today we are going to see means how you can handle this or manage this slippery slope, which is a potential risk for any one of us. And then if you handle this risk, what exactly is the benefit you are going to get? So this is the theme of the next three verses. Once again, how do we handle this slippery slope, or how do we handle this risk in front of any spiritual seekers? And then if that is the case, means if at all you are able to manage this, what are the benefits you are going to get out of it? So this is what the theme of the next three verses. So let's talk about that. So Anu, could you please chant verse 64? Again, very important verse.
रागद्वेषवियुक्तैस्तु विषयानिन्द्रियैश्चरन् आत्मवश्यैर्विधेयात्मा प्रसादमधिगच्छति.
Brilliant verse which captures the entire spiritual practices into one verse. So please note this down. Let's unpack and try to understand every word of this verse, because this is sutras. Like in one verse, it captures the entire essence of the spiritual practices. So let's see. Let's see the Sandhi Vicheda, or the word by word breaking of this verse. It talks about Raga Dvesha Viyuktair. That is the first verse. Ya Ragaha Dveshaka Viyuktaistu Vishayan Indriyai Charan. So when you combine that, Vishayan Indriyai Charan. So Raga Dvesha Viyuktairstu Vishayan Indriyai Charan Atmavashyai Vidheyatma Prasadam Athigachati. This is the words, breaking of the words. So Raga Dvesha Viyuktairs Tu Vishayan Indriyais Charan Atmavashyair Vidheyatma Prasadam Ati Kechati. So he brilliantly gives a step-by-step instruction how a spiritual seeker should protect himself from the slippery slope we discussed earlier. So let's see. So let's see the word, the sentence meaning, and then we will come back and see the word by meaning. So it tells whereas. Whereas means the previous two verses were talked about a person who could fall down in that slippery slope. So whereas, tu means whereas. And then Vitheyatma. Atma means mind here. Like, mind you, the word Atma is context sensitive. So typically we use the word Atma to indicate the Satchidananda Atma. That's why I always say that when we use Atma to refer the Paramatma, it's safer to qualify that with Satchidananda Atma, because the Sanskrit is a context sensitive language compared to context free languages. So you know already what is the difference between a context sensitive and context free language. Context free language means irrespective of the context, the meaning will stay there. Whereas the context sensitive language, depending upon the context, the meaning will vary. So here, Vitheya Atma. Vitheya means controlled. Atma. A person whose mind is controlled. A person who has the ability to control his mind. So a person who has practiced yoga, because the whole definition of yoga is what? Chitta vritti nirodha. Ability to control the mental activities. So a person who has a controlled mind. So that is the person we are talking here. So a person whose mind is controlled. Vitheyatma. Charan means moving. Vishayan Charan, meaning he who is engaged with the sense objects. For example, he may watch a movie, he will go to the bazaar, he will engage in all worldly transaction. So Krishna is talking about a person whose mind is controlled, who is moving among the world of sense objects. And what is the another quality of this person? Indriyair means sense organs. So he is not closing his sense organs. He is not tying his eyes with a mask or anything like that. So his sense organs are atmavashyi. So his sense organs are completely under his control. So a person whose mind is completely controlled, that word is used, vidheyatma, who is moving among all the sense objects by the control over the sense organs, atmavashyai, meaning the indriyai atmavashyai means his sense organs are completely under his mind. And then one more characteristics, raga dvesha viyuktaya. He has freedom over raga dvesha. Raga dvesha means likes and dislikes. Everybody has likes and dislikes. For example, if you ask me, I like to watch movie more than say sitting and working. But at the work time, I keep myself at work, not in front of a movie theater. Why? Because I am able to overcome my raga dvesha. Like I'm not just reacting based upon my likes and dislikes. So there is always a difference between just doing what I feel to do versus doing what I need to do. So we all have control over the raga dvesha in certain situations, but in certain situations we don't have that control. So a person who has control over the raga dvesha, and what is the benefit he is going to get? Ati gacchati, he attains what? Prasadam. Prasadam here means tranquility. So this is such an important verse, such a brilliant verse. So a person who has control over his mind, he goes in front of all sense objects by how? With a control of the sense organs by the mind, and he has control over the raga dvesha, likes and dislikes. And such a person, even though he is engaged in the world, he is moving after all the sense objects, he attains tranquility. Such a brilliant verse, because Krishna is not telling us that you should go to Himalayas for attaining the tranquility. Look at the verse. This is the huge difference between the Vedic philosophy versus, means Vedic vision versus the other thoughts, because other thoughts considers these raga dveshas are an act of devil, but we are not saying that. We are saying that the raga dveshas are natural. So the problem is not the raga dveshas. The problem is acting based on raga dveshas. So if you really look at this, right, even from a scientific perspective, some of these raga dveshas are programmed in our system. For example, all of us are programmed to have some taste towards fatty foods and sugary foods, sweet foods. Why? Anybody, have you read the scientific explanation? Any thought?
Based on body is acidic.
No, actually there is a reason. See, go back to the beginning of the human evolution.
Yes.
Say that our
Qualities of sattva, rajaguna,
what is that?
sattvic and rajasic and tamasic.
No. All those sattvic and rajasics are classifications. What I'm saying is that in the beginning of the evolution, when man was primitive, let's say that go back to our ancestors in Africa, like 1.5 million years back. At that time, the sugary and the fatty foods were scared. Means it was not easily available. So the body had programmed a natural taste for it. So you have to go and seek and supplement those food. That's the reason. So is it your fault? Can you say that it is the problem of a devil? Absolutely not. And the urge towards sexual desires, it is already programmed. So you cannot say that it is wrong. So the desires, like for a fatty food or etc., these are programmed in your mind by the nature, the evolution. But so there is nothing sin. The problem is you don't want to act on that. Of course, you need to act moderately, but you don't want to act, because that is where the idea of dharma is introduced. So whenever the raga dveshas contradict with dharma, have an understanding. I'm committed to dharma. Commitment to dharma is a goal in my life. Just like that, I'm committed to the life, means the arthas and kamas. Artha means pleasures. Kama means, sorry, security. Kama means happiness. Everybody wants security. But when I seek security, it should not contradict dharma. Dharma is always a constraint for me to do anything. And why should I follow dharma? Don't think that go to heaven. That is not the answer. I follow dharma for my own benefit. When I committed to dharma, naturally, what am I getting? I am getting prasadam. I am getting tranquility. And the next verse, you see that I'm getting happiness. I'm getting uninterrupted shanti. So that is the goal of everybody. And commit to dharma. That is what this verse tells us. So a person, for you to get committed to dharma, what exactly you need to do? You need to have a mind controlled. So how do you gain the control? It is through the practice of yoga. So yoga, you need to practice. You need to practice all the yoga steps. So the Ashtanga yoga is a classic example to gain the mind controlled, that 8 steps. Or even in the Bhagavad Gita, a very similar path is given. So practice, engage in the spiritual practices for gaining control over the mind. And when you control over the mind, you can go freely among the sense objects with a control. And 2 things. One is you have to gain control over the raga dvesha, and you have to gain control over the mind. Then such a person, what happens? He gets atigachati. For sure he will get what? Tranquility. Prasadam. This is brilliant. This simple, innocent verse contains the essence of the entire spiritual practices. Raga dvesha viyuktairstu. A person who has freedom in raga dvesha. Vishayan indriyaicharan. A person who is engaged himself in the world of sense objects. Atma vashyair vidheyatma. With a controlled body, with a controlled sense organs. Atma vashyair vidheyatma. Prasadam adhigachati. He gets the ultimate tranquility. You may ask me last week somebody asked me, like, why these words are shuffled? Because when I explained, a proper sentence means tu vidheyatma charan vishayan indriyai atmavashyai ragadvesha viyuktaistu prasadam. This is the means adhigachati prasadam. This is the proper Sanskrit sentence. But why did you shuffle the word? That was an interesting question I got last week. Not me shuffle the word. Why did Vyasa shuffle the word? Why? Let me give you the answer. It's poetry. So when you want to compose a poetry, you have to follow the meter. You have to make sure that it is coming properly according to the meter. So in any poetry, whether it is in English or Sanskrit or in any of your local vernacular, you will see that the words are adjusted. So you have to read it properly. And that is why we are explaining it. So once again, raga dvesha viyuktairstu vishayan indriyaicharan atmavashyair vidheyatma prasadam atigachati. Brilliant verse. Please memorize if possible. This is such an important verse of the Bhagavad Gita. Typically, people don't call this verse out, but personally, this verse was such an important verse for me. Any question on the words or the verse? Couple of corollaries want to add. So how do you gain? Because some qualifications, let me go to the next slides and show you the things, right? So what exactly you need to do? This is the 4 things you need. Means this is the progress. You gain control over the mind. You gain control over the sense organs. It should not be the other way. Without gaining control over the mind, if you get control or try to control the sense organs, for example, you're so tempted to watch that thing, but you are closing your eyes. That will not work. So first gain control over the mind, then control over the sense organs, and then you gain freedom from likes and dislikes. We didn't say that gain means get rid of likes and dislikes. That's impossible. But gain freedom, because of course the likes and dislikes will tell me, okay, now means today I have to work in the night. So likes and dislikes will come and say, come on, watch the movie. You go to a restaurant, go to a buffet, So they say like, come on, come and eat all these sweets. So that desire will be there. But you know that, okay, I can eat one sweet, but I need to stop there. So the dharma will come into picture. That is why the knowledge of the dharma is important. The commitment of the dharma is important. The will of the dharma is important. So I wanted to bring a beautiful book here. A book, because you may say that it's said easier than done. How do you do it? A lot of researches are happening in the modern world. How to do this? Because some passion you want. Suppose you have to take this as a passion, and suppose how to materialize that passion. For example, if your body is a passion, if the control of your mind is a passion, how do you follow that passion? There is a beautiful book. That book's name is. We have that in our library. The book I just found. Rajesh ji found that out yesterday. The book name was, I forgot. It is called Grit, The Power of Passion and Perseverance. It's such a good book. It gives you a lot of simple techniques. How to make things happen. For example, suppose you're dieting. How to follow that. So that is what that book is. I'm just pulling out all these new discoveries because this is a standard textbook used in positive psychology training, like in UPenn. That's why I'm giving this book. It's there in the library. Please download and read. It is beautiful book. This gives how to operationalize certain things, even how to set proper goals, how to follow that, etc. So once again, how to gain the control of the mind? Mainly through the upasana yoga, mainly through meditation, mainly through the other yoga practices. That is where the meditation comes into picture. Then how do you control over the sense organs? When you control the mind, naturally the sense organs can be controlled. Freedom from likes and dislikes, it cannot be gained through meditation alone. For that, you have to practice karma yoga. Karma yoga is the means to get freedom from likes and dislikes. So when you do the karma yoga, upasana yoga combination, again coming back to the basic Gita teaching. The basic Gita teaching asks us to do practice karma yoga, practice upasana yoga. When you do karma yoga and upasana yoga, basically you will gain control of the mind. You will gain freedom from likes and dislikes. When you gain freedom from like this, these three steps happened, what exactly is the benefit? Tranquility, prasadam. Don't think that prasadam is just a what you get, what you call offered food is called as prasadam by a lot of people. But prasadam has a lot of meaning. So prasadam means tranquility also. This tranquility will be achieved. So how can you gain tranquility? So I would say, I would call out two things. One is practice of karma yoga, practice of upasana yoga, commitment to dharma. Don't tell me that you don't know dharma. The basic dharma is common sense. What you don't want from others, you don't want to do to others. That's simple. Basic dharma is common sense. Clear? So how do you start today? Like, if you ask me, how do I start? Every journey, even if it is, means the Chinese proverb say, even the longest journey will start with the first step. Take the first step. What is that? 5 minutes of meditation. 5 minutes of meditation. And what is upasana yoga? Means karma yoga. Practice, at least start including the swatik karmas in your activity, and try to avoid or minimize the tamasic karma as much as possible. So point number one. So swatik karma, we already talked about panchamahayajna. Practice that panchamahayajna. So deva yajna. So 5 minutes prayer. It's not very difficult. And if you are not a believer, of course, then think about some ideal like eradicating poverty from the world. Send your positive thoughts to the world. That is the Deva Yajna. Pitru Yajna. Pitru Yajna typically translated as Shrathas and all those things. Of course, that is there for remembering your parents or the loved ones. But more than that, what you are doing with the living ones. So spend some time with your children. Give some quality time to your spouse and parents and every loved one. So the relationship, it should move from a passive inactive relationship. That is what typically most of the people have. Passive inactive relationship. I'll call out later in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna calls that out. So passive inactive relationship means what? Let's say that your spouse got a promotion or the spouse got a recognition at work. She comes and share you. What is reaction? Typically, oh, good, congrats. That is means that is passive, but it is not destructive. Some people don't even pay attention. That is passive destructive. What is active and constructive? You ask her to relive that, right? So just try to reproduce that experience. What did your boss say? What happened? If she can recreate that situation in her mind you, it's your relationship will go to a different level. So the typically what happens, the spouse thinks about her, means the wife thinks about her priority, the husband think about her priority. Shift the means the Vedic vision is what? If you think about your spouse priority as your priority, naturally, one or two times you do, she will also start doing. You will see that the relationship will go to a different level. So please do this. Like, the relationship is active and constructive. Try to think through her shoes or his shoes and say that, like, whatever small joys he has or she has, try to recreate it at home. It can take you to a different level. That is family dharma. So this is Pitru Yajna. Bhuta Yajna, you are not going to destroy anything in nature as much as possible. You are not polluting water resources, or like sometimes plant a tree. Plant means have a few plants in your house inside. That is beautiful. You get good oxygen, and at the same time you are doing the Bhuta Yajna. Manushya Yajna. Manushya Yajna means help somebody. Means not financially always. If you don't have money, just give your ears. Just teach them something if possible. Or at least sit and listen to them. Manushya Yajna. Brahma Yajna. 5 minutes study the scripture every day. So this is the proper work. And proper attitude means at least a few action. Offer that an offering to Ishvara. Whatever is the result you get, take it with equanimity. Not all action you can do right now, but at least start doing a few action. So this is Karma Yoga. So this Karma Yoga is the one that is going to give you from freedom from this likes and dislikes, and Vipassana Yoga is going to give you freedom from mind, meaning turbulence and control over the mind. These two together, it is going to give you the tranquility. So this is such an important verse. I would strongly suggest by heart this verse, contemplate about this verse, and if you even for control of the mind, one more thing. If you think that 5 minutes meditation is difficult, follow 1 minute meditation. At least 3 rounds of 1 minute meditation. How do you do 1 minute meditation? Just look at your breath as if that is the last breath. Pay your entire attention to your breathing. One breath. Please do that at least 3 times. That itself is a starting point. So this is what the path of progress or path to success. Anything else you do, you may have billions of dollars. You might be the CEO of a company. You may have hundreds of people around you, but tranquility won't be there. So this is the only path to tranquility. Such a profound verse. Any questions? Okay. So let's do. And one more point. So just by running away from the sense organs, nobody can assure himself or herself inner peace. That is not the way Gita is advising. So the inner disturbance depending upon what? The presence and the absence of, not depend upon the presence and absence of the objects in the external world. Essentially, it depends upon the mind. So that is why you are asked to focus on the mind more than doing anything. One simple story I'll tell you. This is from a very traditional story. So two monks, one guru and a disciple, they were traveling in the Himalayas. So they were in the bank of the Ganga, and he saw, I mean, suddenly they saw a small young lady fell into Ganges. So this young monk jumped into the water, saved this lady, lifted her in his hand, and then tried to wash all the clothes and everything. The other monk was so angry. How can a brahmachari touch a young lady, etc.? And after one day, like this old monk, the guru asked him, Babaji, you should not have done that. This young monk's answer was really interesting. So he said, you are still carrying her? I left her at the riverside, but you're still keeping her inside. That's what. It's not the action, but it's the mental state that makes binding or unbinding. So this is brilliantly explained in Ramayana or Yoga, it means through the words of Vasishta. Vasishta advises Rama, like he tells Manakritam Kritam Rama, that is, it is the action. Actually, the agent is the mind. Kritam na sharirina. The example he is giving is yo ne me alingane kanta tato alingane suta. It's totally different when you hug your spouse and when you hug the daughter. It's totally two different experiences because the mindset is totally different. So it's not the action that makes an action pure or bad. It is the mental state, and that's exactly what Krishna tells. So these four steps, like fourth step is the destination. Start with control of the body, meaning the mind. Of course, the control of the mind is not possible without the control of the body. So that is additional steps are there. But the key things are control of the body, control of the sense organs, control of the likes and dislikes. These three are mandatory. And commitment to dharma, because without commitment to dharma, the first three steps cannot happen. Hopefully this is clear. Okay, so let's move to the next verse. Anu, could you please chant? So just 1 second, like by this practice, what you are gaining is prasada, the tranquility, the inner tranquility. So now we can chant. If you have prasada, what is the benefit? I know you are on mute.
Okay, sorry. Prasade sarva dukkhanam hanirasyopachayate prasanna chetaso hyasho buddhih paryavatishthate.
Again, another beautiful verse. Prasade sarva dukkhanam hani asya upajayate. Look at the breaking. Prasade sarva dukkhanam hani asya upajayate. Prasanna chetasaha hi ashu buddhir paryavatishtade. So prasade sarva dukkhanam hani asya upajayate. Prasanna chetasaha hi ashu buddhihi paryavatishtade. So let's see the meaning and then we'll come back. So prasade means that when the mind is in tranquility. So when you get that tranquility, how do you get that tranquility? We already talked about that. Controlling the mind, controlling the senses, controlling the means gaining freedom from the likes and dislikes through the and commitment to dharma. It is going to give you that tranquility. And once you have that tranquility, what is going to happen? Hani, distraction, sarva dukkhanam, all the problems, all the sufferings, not talking about the pain, but all the sufferings, like the sufferings are gone. All the sufferings are gone when you have this tranquility. And then what happened? Asya, that person, upajayate, he happens, he, because what happened? Buddhi, his knowledge or his wisdom. Prasanna chetasaha. So that person who is prasanna chetasaha means one with the tranquil mind. His buddhi, what happened? Ashu, soon becomes well established. Paryavatishtate. His knowledge, he will gain knowledge and he will be in that state of knowledge. So that is because the tranquility you gain with the practice described in the previous verse, it is not, it is still you're a yogi, but you haven't reached a jnani. So once you get this tranquility, basically you are ready for that final knowledge. So that is what it is. So what it is telling is prasade sarvadukhanam hani asya upajayate. Prasanna chetasaha ashu buddhir paryavatishtate. So this prasada buddhi, with when you have that tranquility, you will be freed from all these sufferings, all these anxieties, all these worries, all these push and pull of your life. And with that, what you can your knowledge or your wisdom will be established firm in the higher reality. So let's understand this a little bit more. So this is the path. So once you have this tranquil mind, what happens? Your pains and turbulence are under control. You may have pain, but you may not have the sufferings. So that is why the word control is used. Your mental turbulence and your sorrows will be vanished, meaning your sufferings will be vanished. Even though you have pain, it is under control. Your turbulence is mental turbulence is under control. And what happened? This the sorry, it is a steady wisdom. There is a typo. There is a, it means that will lead you to the steady wisdom, the sthita prajna state, because that time the knowledge will work. So once again, you have to understand the spiritual path here laid out by the Gita. On a very high level, you can put that into 2 steps, but to be more clarity, you can put that into 3 steps. The first is the control of the mind through upasana yoga, and then purity of the mind or freedom from likes and dislikes through karma yoga. Once that is done, you get a pure and a calm and a stable mind. With that pure, calm, stable mind, what is going to happen? Your pains and your worries and the push and the pulls are completely under control. And you practice jnana yoga. When you practice jnana yoga, what is going to happen? You will gain knowledge and your wisdom will be firm and steady. So this is the path to enlightenment. This is the path to all the spiritual progress. This is the path to moksha. So these 2 verses put together, it sums up the entire spiritual practice. But again, I would say the previous verse is more important, because once you have the steady and a calm mind, the next step is very simple. So let me go back and reiterate one more thing. What exactly is the 3 things we said? Practice of karma yoga, practice of upasana yoga, commitment to dharma. That's all Krishna is asking from you. And once again, I wanted to reiterate the fact that you are following the dharma, not for the other benefits. A lot of people say that I followed dharma because of that, because I wanted to save you. No, when I save him, I am the most beneficiary, because it leads me to the tranquility, peace, and happiness. So prasade sarvadukhanam hani pasya upajayate prasanna chetasaha abhi buphir paryavatishtate. Very soon his knowledge or the wisdom become firm and stable. This is beautiful. This is the essence of all our Vedic spiritual practice. You cannot sum up something like this. So one of the beauties in our scripture is it can be as elaborate as 100,000 verses, and it can be as small as this one or two verses. The entire essence is summed up in 1 or 2 verses. It's brilliant. That is the beauty. And one of the presentation class I attended, what they also told me is that if you know the subject, you should be able to summarize that in 1 or 2 sentences, and you should be able to elaborate that in thousands of pages. Shakespeare was brilliant in that, and Vyasa was a master of that. But Those are only subsidiary things. Once again, I really want all of you to understand what is our current state. The current state is we don't have, we means we are trying to find peace and happiness, but we are getting bombarded by the life every day. This is our current state. You may have some material success, but you still find it difficult to have that peace and tranquility. So that is what your goal is. So for that, what is the path? The path is you have to do you have means to gain the means the control over the mind. You have to gain freedom from likes and dislikes. And how? You have to practice karma yoga, you have to practice upasana yoga, and once it is done, you get a pure, calm, stable mind, you get a tranquiled mind. And from that tranquiled mind, what you want to do is practice the yoga of knowledge or the scriptural study. Then what happens? This aparokshanubhuti becomes, sorry, parokshanubhuti becomes aparokshanubhuti, and finally you gain that stable knowledge. This is the entire spiritual path advised by the Gita. See, now you means at least started realizing that the second chapter is the index of the Gita. It is giving the whole summary of the Gita. Any questions? Okay, if not, let's go to verse 66, which is going to sum up this thought.
Nasti buddhirayuktasya na cha yuktasya bhavana na cha bhavayata shantihi ashantasya kutas sukham.
That one line, this is praised by one of the most famous neuropsychologists. So he tells, Ashantasya kutas sukham. Let's try to see the meaning. So he tells, Na asti buddhihi ayuktasya, nacha ayuktasya bhavana, nacha abhavayataha shantihi, ashantasya kutaha sukham. So a fact is described by Krishna. So Krishna is telling that there is no permanent or pure happiness when there is no shanti. Shanti means peace. Peace. Without peace, there is no happiness. Shanti is much more than peace, right? So Shanti, the literal meaning of the word Shanti, I wanted to explain. Shanti means it comes from the root Sham. Sham means quietude. So it's not the Shanti, it is not the peace that is through a like you do something, exert something and gain the Shanti. No, here the quietude. So the quietude of the mind, the calmness of the mind, that is where the true happiness comes in. Because we are all told, nobody has any doubt. Now, different disciplines of knowledge comes back and tells you again and again and again one fact. What is that fact? It tells us that the happiness cannot be found outside. It has to be discovered inside. I still remember when we started our Gita class, somebody came and asked this question. All of you say that the happiness is inside, but that's not my experiences. So the best example given in this context is what it means if you go to God and pray to the God. Let's say that the God comes in front of you. You ask, give me happiness. God will say that I am helpless. I've already blessed you with maximum happiness. Why am I not recognizing or seeing that happiness which is already in me? The best example is like imagine that you're staying like in the platform of that Penn station, Amtrak station. Imagine that a train is coming and you saw a friend in 10 meter staying there. He is talking, hey, how are you, etc. Can you hear anything he's speaking? You know that he is speaking for sure. But under the loud sound of Amtrak, his voice sang down. It's completely gone. So, but when that means the anthrax sound is less, that is the only time you can recognize. So the mind is already have abundance of peace and tranquility. But what happens? The disturbance of the mind is such that it won't let you hear or see that happiness. So the spiritual practice, it is not trying to create any happiness in our mind. It is just trying to subsidize all the disturbances. So that is why the term Shanti is used. It's such a brilliant word. And typically we chant the word Shanti 3 times. Do you know why?
Shanti inside, outside.
Mhm.
Right. So there are three major sources of disturbance. Three major sources that can disturb my mind. One is known as Adi Deivika. Second one is known as Adi Bhautika. Third one is called Adhyatmika. So Adi Devika means in things outside of means me, right? So like a tiger or a mosquito or bad weather or temperature. Sorry, that is bad weather. So means not good food. All these things are Adi Bhautika, external situation, can create disturbance in me. Adi Devika means again external or internal, where I do not have any control, like a tsunami, right? And corona right now. We don't have control. So it's Adi Devika. And finally, I have my own contribution also, Adhyatmika, my own mind. And if you really think, my own mind is the greatest source of disturbances. So these three things can impact me. And that is why I'm praying Shanti, 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 three Shanti. So this is so Ashantasya kutas sukham. That is the final verse. So when you do not have Shanti, you will not experience the pure happiness at all or lasting happiness. That's it. So he's explaining now. Nas means he tells Ayuktasya. So the one who is not tranquil. Ayukta means the one who is not a yogi or a one who has not have that tranquility of the mind. One do not have control over the mind. So he tells Asti na buddhayaha, means he will not have any knowledge. That is the problem, because when you have that control over the mind, your knowledge will not work. You will do all the things which is against dharma, and then what is going to happen? The one who has do not have tranquility, ayuktasya, there is no contemplation, there is no meditation, there is no commitment to spiritual practices. So a person who do not have yukta, meaning the skill of yoga, meaning the control over the mind. A person who do not have control over the mind, he has no knowledge, he has no contemplation, and then he tells what? The one who is not contemplative and one who is not knowledgeable, what is that? There is no peace, because you will be subjected to all sort of these disturbances like Adi Devika, Adi Bhaudika, and Adhyatmika. And what is happening finally? The one who has no peace, how can there be happiness? It's a beautiful question asked by Krishna. So you may think that you will search for the happiness everywhere, but you won't get it. You think that $1 million is going to give you happiness. Yes, the $1 billion is going to give you something else, but not happiness. I'm not saying that it is not important. You may think that a promotion is going to make you happy. No, the promotion is going to give you something else, but it is won't make you happy. Happiness has to be discovered within, and for that you have to follow the process we discussed in the previous verses, right? So pure means the control of the mind, control of the sense organs, freedom from likes and dislikes, and knowledge. When you have these four, you will get happiness. And without this, you will not get Shanti. And without Shanti, you will not get happiness. This phrase is very popular. Ashantasya kutas sukham. That's a very famous phrase of the Gita. A lot of people quotes in proper context and in different context also. But please understand that this comes in the verse 66. One more thing is like uh, these verses are, I already told about this. These verses are the favorite verses of Mahatma Gandhi. And this is exactly what he was trying to mimic. Again, we are not yet in this particular stage, but we can try to mimic these characteristics. So when we try to mimic initially, over a period of time, we will get it. Fake it and make it. I don't know whether means I told about a book the other day, right? Destructive Emotions. That book, there is a beautiful experiment they are describing. One is like there is a beautiful finding that your emotions will affect your face. You can read in that book. I think it is in the 100 plus 120 130 pages. It's described in extraordinary detail. Like when you have anger, you will certain muscles will be active. So one thing they are suggesting you to get away from getting into a positive emotion is have a smile. You may not have that happiness inside, but when the body goes to a different expression, it will have an impact on your psyche. That's exactly what I was telling you. So just try to be smile, more be happy. Take means be sensitive to humor, laugh more. It is going to help you. So summarizing these three verses, because so this is the thing. Spiritual disciplines, it will give you to steady wisdom, and the steady wisdom is going to give you peace of mind, and that peace of mind is giving you pure happiness, because that is what being sought after by almost everybody. So summarizing the three verses, Krishna is giving us a clear path here. First is gain control over the mind, control of the sense organs, when freedom from likes and dislikes. How? It is the practice of karma yoga, it is practice of upasana yoga, it is the commitment to dharma, because karma yoga itself means it is commitment to dharma. So that's why it's not explicitly called out, because karma yoga already implies that it is avoiding the tamasic actions, because karma yoga's the basic thing is proper work with proper attitude, and you're not supposed to do anything that is improper. So karma yoga and upasana yoga, then what is going to happen? Practice knowledge, and that is going to become steady. And when you have that, what happens? You will get peace of mind, and from that peace of mind, you will get pure happiness. This is what the three verses are. I really loved these verses. And so many masters commented upon this, like Shankaracharya, Nataraja Guru, and all. But this is the gist of it. Any questions or comments? Or any open questions? We have 5 more minutes.
Rajesh, maybe not relevant to this verse, but I have a question. So,
Yeah, please go ahead.
yeah.
You can
So,
ask anything under the sun, but the only thing is that I will answer if I know.
yeah, Rajesh. So, what is the benefit of visiting holy places? They say it is beneficial, and how is it beneficial? How do we experience that?
Okay, so visiting holy places in our Sanskrit is known as Tirtha Yatra, correct?
Hmm.
Tirtha means you are visiting Yatra, committed. Why? It is considered as a discipline for the mind. That's it. So please don't think that if you go to Ganga and have a dip in the Ganga, it is not going to wash all your likes and dislikes and impurity. No, but it is a commitment. If you go properly to say Kedarnath or Shabrimala, it's not easy. Like you have to, but nowadays what is going to happen is we just bypass everything and do it as a pleasure. That won't benefit a lot. But if you have a strong will, and for example, Shabrimala, which is very much known to me, we used to take 41 days of fasting, right? And 41 days of prayer, and with that committed mindset, you visit. Naturally, it's a yoga, it's a bhakti yoga. And then when you have that faith in God, that faith can do magic. Um, so I gave the first answer. It can be a discipline of the mind. Second thing is that it's a karma, right? You are doing a prayer. So prayer, if any karma has both results. One is drishtam and the other one is adrishtam. And there is some adrishtam. Adrishtam means some punya benefit will come. Something will be credited to your account for sure if you do it properly. Again, but the intention is important, right? Earlier we talked about that. It's not the action that is more matters, but the intention. So when you go to a pilgrimage, take a pilgrimage with proper mindset, definitely it is going to help. And then again, depending upon the people to people, some people do not get connected to that. Such people, it won't benefit. So it's like a doctor cannot prescribe the same medication to the 4 people coming to him in the afternoon. It's like that. So depending upon which yoga is more preferable to you, do it. But my own personal experiences, a combination of this would be better. So I cannot just categorize myself as only good for karma yoga and not good for bhakti yoga. That's why I would say, like, practice this Panchamaha Yajna. That will be good. That's a simple explanation of the Tirtha Yatra.
Thank you, Rajesh.
But one thing I found, it surprised me, is like, I went to Gangotri a couple of years back. I saw old people, very old people, climbing without any problem. I could not do that much. I have to admit it. But the strength they get from that faith was amazing. Old people, like yesterday I was watching a video, like a 79-year-old person climbing together. Okay. Any other comments or questions?
Rajesh, just one comment. See, we were talking about the steps, the karma yoga you were suggesting, right? One is like to do the prayer and then those 5 things. So, but you have told us a story also sometimes back, like the karma yoga could be somebody may not be doing their prayers or anything, but they are totally involved in what they are doing. See, there was this guy who's a butcher. Actually, his job was like, but still it is, he may not be doing the prayers or anything, but he is so committed to doing that job or anything. That's still a part of
Absolutely, that is a karma yoga. But what I was saying is that if you practice these 5 elements, because it is a prescribed method, it is already a proven method. For example, if you do, say, Manushya, right, that is perfectly good. But just to get out of these ragadveshas, if you do little bit of all these Panchamaha, it is proven that will work effectively, because 5 different levels of your personality will be adjusted. So why that practice is given, like prayer, scriptural study, family, so being good with the family, being good with the other human being, and also being good with nature. I'm not saying that your entire action should be like that, but just have a little bit of that. So let's say that avoid tamasic. 80% of your action or 90% of your action is rajasic. Rajasic means you are doing it for yourself. That's it. Only thing is that you are not cheating anybody. So under legal means under the means society allowed way. For example, I go and work like a program manager. That is totally fine. Who is the beneficiary? I am the beneficiary. I get the salary. That is totally fine. You are not asked to run away from that. But along with that, if you do that 5 steps, little bit, as much as possible, that is going to accelerate your progress considerably. You will just start doing it. You'll see the results so quickly. You'll see that you will start smiling more. You will be more happy, contented, etc. I had that experience. You may not get self-realized, but definitely you will see the change in yourself. So that is why the so-called method, it is so much it's proven. Tradition, technically, you can do karma yoga without even like sitting and praying in front of the god. But karma yoga, the whole idea is every action you do, it is an offering to God. So it could be, as you said, like the story of the butcher. What he's doing, he's offering to God. Upadesha Sara Ramana Maharshi tells, Ishwararpitam Nechaya Mukti Sadhanam. That's the beauty of karma yoga. But if you can diversify that into these 5 dimensions, it can help a lot. It's just a extra step.
Thank you, Rajesh.